Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of yours truly, Marv's Room, as always. And we have Tim Grimes back in the building. Tim, say what's up to everybody.
Everybody, what's up? Hello, Marvin.
I love the dry sense of humor. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. But anyway, we have a great email today that we want to read to you guys, and this email is in reference to one of the viewers sent this beautiful email about her journey in trying to manifest a specific person, and I wanted to read this email and then kind of get Tim's thoughts on this email, and me and Tim kind of break this email down a little bit to help you guys understand the nuance behind this specific person journey that you may be going through right now. And you guys can learn a lot of gems from this person's stories, as well as this is kind of the prelude that I wanted to introduce and Tim wanted to introduce him and I working on something very, very special for you guys that is going to be available to you all at the beginning of this summer sometime. We don't have an exact date, but Tim and I have something very, very special for you guys, for anybody that wants to work with us. So stay tuned. But let me jump into this email real quick and let's begin to dissect what this viewer had to say, this very special message that she had to say, and get Tim's thoughts on it. And then we can segue to the special announcement that Tim and I have after we break down this email. Sound good?
Great. This is
Alrighty.
a good one, guys. You're gonna listen carefully to what Marvin's gonna read because this is very insightful, and what you're about to hear is much more common than people expect. Marvin and I get emails, and we hear about this stuff frequently, and it's easy to say, oh, this is just a freak thing or whatever. Some people have these problems, most people don't. um, I don't think that's the case. So, and I don't think Marvin thinks that's the case either. So yeah, just listen carefully to what this woman wrote to Marvin.
Okay, all good. So I received this email this morning on Friday from a beautiful viewer that watches our channels. And the email goes like this. This email is probably a bit different from what you are used to. After watching your latest videos, I was inspired to write this email to you. It's not a question of success story, but more of my experience manifesting a specific person. I would like for you to share it with your viewers as a precaution when manifesting a SP. When I got into LOA, I saw people manifesting their SPs for years. I had even come across one person who spent 9 years trying to manifest their SP. I told myself I could never be that person. I was promised I would get my SP in 3 weeks, but ended up being here for 2.5 years. Like many people, I entered into this community for an SP. I always believed in LOA, but I kind of fell into the SP trap when my SP and I first separated. He was everything I ever imagined a man in a man. He was physically attractive, had the same sense of humor as me, was ambitious, loving, caring. He was flawed, but he was my perfect man. He was my first love, but during COVID, he went back to his ex. We kept a friendship and were still in each other's lives. We were both very supportive of each other and helped each other through some tough times, but I wanted more than just a friendship. I had watched every video relating to manifesting an SP, how to get rid of a third party. I got coaching from a very popular coach and spent hours affirming, scripting, visualizing, meditating, watching videos. I was in so many WhatsApp and Facebook groups and bought all the courses I could. My days were filled with trying to manifest this SP. We went from being friends to me being the other woman. Crazy thing is, during this whole time, he didn't know that I knew he had a partner. I was told by a coach to not address it and ignore the 3D. After every time we would link up, I would either cry myself to sleep for the shame or be excited because it was movement. I would hop from coach to coach, and every coach I was dealing with told me to see it as a sign that he loved me and that I had to persist to get the full commitment. All the while, I was disrespecting myself and my body, and these coaches and my LOA peers were encouraging this. My thoughts were filled with him. My happiness was dependent on whether he texted me. As the years went on, the situation became worse. He went from being the sweetest, loving guy to being so horrible. We went from being close friends who spoke every day, having deep conversations, to becoming his booty call. The conversations became surface, and he would reply sometimes days later whenever he felt like it. As sick as I felt, I would be told it was progress and that I needed to persist. That some people's SPs didn't have any kind of contact with them and that I was lucky. In reality, I was the unlucky one. I would get excited to get that "Are you awake?" text, only to left with shame and guilt the next day. I would suppress my feelings and lie to myself that I was feeling good, but it would come out every few months, and I would have days or weeks being depressed only to be motivated again by a coach or when I would get another text. No one knew I was suffering. My confidence were my coaches and manifesting buddies. In this time, I stopped taking care of myself. I gained 20 pounds. I stopped making an effort on myself. I would only make an effort when I would see him. I stopped making plans with my friends because I feared that if he'd call me, I would be busy. I would cancel plans just to see him. I was so scared of losing the little breadcrumbs that I got because it meant all the effort I was making was for nothing. All the while, my other relationships were suffering. At the time, I was becoming physically, emotionally, and energetically repulsive, not only to my SP, but I could tell with other people around me too. Many men wanted me as a side piece or just one night stands. My confidence had disappeared. I found myself always comparing myself to her. Maybe I wasn't pretty enough. Maybe it's because I gained all of this weight. Maybe I talk too much or not enough. Am I annoying? Am I too submissive? Am I not submissive enough? Is my hair is it my hair? Is it my skin? What is it about me that's so wrong that he won't choose me? So was this the enemy in my mind when in reality she was slash is the victim in this? The more I tried to manifest him, the more I lost myself. I lost job opportunities because I was scared to move away from him. I convinced myself I wasn't obsessed because I wasn't driving past his house or stalking him, but energetically, I was. I could not stop thinking about him or how we'd eventually be together or watching videos or affirming. Last year was the day he finally ended it. He didn't say anything, he just ghosted. But I knew this time was different. Something had switched. 8 months later, I found out that he proposed to his person and that they were expecting. I spent 3 days straight crying in a hotel room. I did what I usually did. I went and contacted a coach who I believe would save me. They told me that they couldn't coach me because I was too far gone. They told me to forget manifesting and actually work on myself for me and only me. It was from there that I realized I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know who I was outside of him. Every time I worked on myself, I did it for him. The person who I was before I even met him was a distant memory. I didn't know how to get her back. It felt as though everything I knew was a lie. I just wanted to feel normal again before I met him or before I knew of LOA, but I didn't know how. I made a decision to quit manifesting any SP altogether and really work on myself for myself. I started learning to love myself. I started getting therapy, eating healthy, going to the gym. I lost 30 pounds, made an effort on my physical appearance. I started making plans with family and friends. It's been about 8 months, but my confidence is starting to come back. I get so much attention now from people who want to pursue me properly, but I'm not ready yet. Because of LOA and this SP obsession, I believe I lost part of myself, one that I might never get back. I lost 3 years of my life and a chunk of my 20s. I lost money on terrible coaching, and unfortunately, I'm scared I will never fully get over it. Looking back, I do believe was a time he loved me or at least had feelings for me. But the further I fell into this trap and the more desperate I became, the more I lost myself and the more I disrespected myself, the more he became repulsed by me and treated me worse. I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't be like me. This wasn't love. This was deep hatred for myself that I believed that I deserved to be treated like this by someone who didn't care and coaches who only cared about money or didn't understand the law. Don't lose yourself to the point where manifesting another person becomes the bane of your existence because like me, you might never fully recover. If you do decide you want to get a coach, do not ever accept that they allow you to lower your standards, lessen your boundaries, or disrespect yourself, all in the name of movement. Wow, that's pretty powerful. Life is incredibly short, and in my case, 3 years was a long time. You should be loving yourself, respecting yourself, choosing yourself, and in turn, someone doing that to you. Do not look for it in another person. Had I not fallen so deep into this and invested so much into this, I probably would have dumped him the moment he disrespected me the first time. I probably would have gotten over him after a couple of months and would have gotten on with my life. He probably would have come back like every other guy or not, but at least I would have been okay. I wasn't just sad that I didn't get the SP. I was sad because I wasted so much time, money, and energy on this SP. My hope for everybody is that you do find beautiful love, whether that be an SP or someone else. I still do believe that you can manifest the SP. I've done it unconsciously before and I've seen it in my life. But be mindful of your mental health. Be careful of coaches and certainly do not let this SP be your reason for your happiness. Thank you for your videos, Marvin, and hopefully one day we'll be able to work together. Thanks. Wow. Tim, thoughts?
I mean, just listening to it again takes a moment to recover. Great email, very insightful. I have a few initial thoughts. One is shout out to whoever that coach was who told it like it was.
I was thinking the same thing.
You got to get out of this manifesting community, this Epstein thing. You're acting crazy. That's good coaching.
I was thinking the same thing when I read that. I was like, shout out to that coach who told you that.
I'd be curious if the emailer wants to share who that coach was, because we'll give them props on our channel for sure. Because that's good coaching. But yeah, I mean, my initial, having heard it again, one thing that struck me the second time that I didn't think the first time, because it was so traumatizing and accurate in terms of what we often hear, in terms of people having these awful SP journeys. A few things, actually, I guess I should say, that are all related. First of all, for this person, it's not too late at all to, ultimately benefit from this situation. And
Right.
strangely, the manifestation of now feeling better and having better health and having this experience in the long run, given her level of self-awareness in this email, makes me think that this will ultimately be a growing experience. But as she so well pointed out, doesn't mean it wasn't fucking awful and that she was completely mistreated by both seemingly this guy. Maybe, I mean, there's two sides to every coin, but in the very least was mistreating herself and was given absolutely utter awful horseshit advice by coaches and the SP community.
Right.
Which is what we often talk about. Now, this video is not about just criticizing the SP community. It's about why you shouldn't trust it, and to give an example of how shallow and ineffective and destructive the advice often is. I do want to say, before I throw it back over for your thoughts, Marvin, that I think a lot of people, when they're in their 20s, have some of their most difficult life experiences, especially in regards to relationships. So I know I did, for sure. And it really is a learning period for a lot of us in terms of relationships, and especially romantic relationships. It doesn't mean it doesn't suck. But I've had many clients tell me, it's like, oh, I'm wasting my 20s. It's like, dude or dudette, your 20s sucks a lot of the time. I hate to break it to you, but a lot, there's a lot, people don't want to talk about that, or
that's a fact.
Some people don't want to talk about it, but the reality is, like, the teen years and the 20s are often like your most uncertain time, like, and especially with relationships and like identifying with like what you are. And a lot of us go through really rough patches during that time. So don't think that like you wasted anything. In my experiences, in just talking and, my friends, clients, family members, things generally speaking get better and better. Especially if you're into these self-improvement and manifesting ideas as you get older. They certainly have for me. So hopefully, and I really do feel confident this was a great learning experience for this woman, but obviously we feel bad for her for the bullshit she had to go through. And I would love to see her talk more about this if she was ever comfortable, and on message boards, or even, I don't know. I don't know if she'd ever do a YouTube channel, but just sharing this experience, I think, is very important, because it's important to hear this. This is the dark side, the taboo side of the SP community that Marvin and I often talk about, but that very few people on social media do discuss. So yeah, great email. I'm really glad she shared that.